Conservative new media viewers, LA Lakers fans around the world, and Jeremy Lin fans around the world. What is up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villario, the NBA expert, and we're here to talk about the Lakers' 114-109 victory tonight over the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta, Georgia, in the long video format. I'm sorry I fell asleep for, 4 hours or something after getting done with the short video and watching the end of the New Orleans Pelicans versus Sacramento Kings game. So this video is getting up late, and of course later on tonight, it's about 6:30 a.m. Eastern time right now in the United States, we will be taking on the Houston Rockets, Jeremy's old team, and McMorray and Harden and Dwight Howard. That game will be at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and it will be on ESPN here in the USA. Look, tonight's game was just great. There's a whole bunch of really good things to talk about with it, and we're going to be going over many of them. The overall in this game was that the team shared the ball, which was much better than it was against the Golden State Warriors. They were facing an easier team, which for the Lakers, pretty much any team in the NBA is easier for them than is the matchup against the Golden State Warriors. And Jeremy played great. He really played well in this game. He stepped up. He was aggressive. The team had better effort all the way around. Everybody played harder. They played more cohesive. They played more like a team rather than as individuals. The effort level was up, and it was great on an individual level for Jeremy. For the team, individuals on the team really stepped up, like Carlos Boozer, like the returning Nick Young, and it's just things went extremely well. I'm going to go through. There's a couple different off-the-court notes that I want to mention, and then we'll just go through the game, and I'll go through some selected quarter-by-quarter stuff. So I'll just start working through it. Number one, haters, get back under your rocks, crawl back into your dark holes, everything else. As I mentioned in the short video, there was all kinds of stuff being said after this game. I saw Jeremy Lin doubters talking about how he should be out of the league. He wasn't going to be in the league much longer. He sucks. Well, I guess he doesn't suck. And we can say that after this game because he had 15 points in 31 minutes played, 6 of 7 from the field, including 1 of 2 from three-point range, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 turnovers, and his plus-minus was a +1. So Jeremy scored 0 points last game, and that ended a string of 5 consecutive games scoring in double figures and with him playing well. But he came back strong tonight and really got the job done. I'll go over stats in a second, for there's a couple other things I want to say off the court first. Number one, Wayne Ellington, who is going through a really terrible personal tragedy. His family dealing with the shooting death of his father. And we certainly, again, can send our prayers and thoughts out to him and his family. Wayne responded to all the support that he's gotten on Twitter and said thanks everybody for the support. He had to take some time off to be with his family, which is very understandable. He is going to be rejoining the team on Friday, so in Dallas, when they will be taking on the Mavericks there. So that will come in a couple days from now. Nick Young, as we said, was back for this game. He's still playing with a little bit of like a splint or something on his thumb. I think he called it a swag wrap. And whatever, didn't interfere with him tonight, which was fantastic. Kobe came into this game, as I mentioned on Twitter, on track for some history. He came into the game with on pace for the highest usage rate in the history of the NBA in a single season. Now, he already holds that record. The record's like 39.74%. He came into this game, into the Atlanta game, at 39.8%. So he was on track for setting a new record. But it's going to go down after tonight, and that's good. Steve Nash has apparently contacted the team. We heard recently that Byron Scott had said, hey, we'd like Steve Nash to be around the team and mentor the guys. That would certainly apply to Jeremy. And apparently Steve Nash has gotten back to the team and said that he's ready to do that. So that's very good news. That's really good. I mean, someone of Steve's caliber and basketball IQ, that will really help things tremendously. Ronnie Price, before the game, at the shoot-around, and the shoot-around is when you have a game that night, the team will get together earlier in the day, maybe like at noon, and get some shots up, maybe go over strategy a little bit, just kind of get some activity before the game and go over some things. And at the shoot-around, according to reports, the team focused a lot on defense, what they need to do. And Ronnie Price apparently led the discussion, kind of get guys on track and focused on defense. Of course, there's been a lot of discussion about effort and lack of effort. And look, it paid off. The team played well tonight. Heading into the Houston game, and I put out a tweet on this because somebody sent it to me. I probably shouldn't have done it, but there's all this talk around Dwight Howard and some allegations about, I hate to say it, but it's potential child abuse, supposedly, because of, I think he disciplined his child, maybe spanked the child with a belt or something. And if you're familiar with the American football, National Football League matter with Adrian Peterson, and a similar thing, supposed child abuse where Adrian Peterson spanked his child with a tree branch, a switch. I guess this is something similar going on with Dwight. And look, I don't know what I don't know what happened. I'm not saying anything. I'm sure Dwight will be hear about it and jokes and this type of thing. And like I said, I probably shouldn't have tweeted that out because somebody sent it to me. But it's just I wanted people to understand how Jeremy fans were looking at how much animosity, I guess, is built up towards Houston from Jeremy Lin fans because of how they perceive he was treated there. But the truth is Dwight and Jeremy get along well. Jeremy's talked about that. So, but this matter, this legal matter or potential legal matter is coming up at a bad time for the Rockets. And so if Dwight Howard's mind is distracted at all, that could help the Lakers. And I'm not trying to be macabre here or offbeat, but it's a real thing. Dwight's somebody that's pretty sensitive. And so he's got all this scrutiny on him now, and we have to see how that works out tonight. Now, the last time that the Rockets and Lakers played, of course, Kobe and Dwight got into a little showdown after Dwight got a rebound, and then I think Dwight elbowed Kobe, and then there was talking. And so, I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out tonight. So I just have to mention it because it's a real thing that's happening, and it could have an effect on the game later tonight. We'll see. Finally, before I get more into the game, there's a good chance that I'll be taking some games off in December for right around Christmas because I'll probably be going and spending some time with my family. I don't know that yet. If I do that, then I'm probably not going to have the ability to make videos at that time. So I want to give you guys a heads up on that because there's a good chance that's going to happen. I'll just try to let you guys know, and then if I miss a couple games, 3-4 games or whatever, then we'll just go from there. And when I get back, I'll just pick it up, and that's it. Okay. Excuse me, I'm very congested right now. Going back to the game. So Jeremy Lin supposedly sucks on the road, right? Except he didn't. Tonight was his most efficient game of the season. And his efficiency, I believe it was anyway, his efficiency for the game, NBA efficiency, was 25. And it was on the road. The crowd had no effect on him at all. And so not only did he play well and bounce back from maybe his worst game of the year, probably was his worst game of the year, he did it supposedly in a situation that this fake narrative that he couldn't do it in on the road. So this goes back to what I said, and I mentioned this in the short video. There is no effect on him on the road. He doesn't care. The crowd doesn't matter to him. It has nothing to do with that. It's much more about the situation and the opponent. On the road in earlier games this year, and the last 2 games before this one on the road, he also played well, which I mentioned on Twitter before. It had to do with being in a back-to-back circumstance and had to do with playing good opponents, like the Golden State Warriors in Golden State. And so it's just a lazy narrative for the media or the broadcasters to pick up. And so I'm very glad that that little notion was put to rest tonight. It was already put to rest in the last 2 games on the road, but now it's even more so. And again, this stupid Jeremy's going to be out of the league soon. He's a fluke. He's not any good. That's put to rest. It was important for the team and for Jeremy individually to come out tonight and show that the Golden State Warriors game was the real fluke. And as I mentioned in the short video, this is the 6th good game for Jeremy in the last 7 games. So the aberration game was the Golden State Warrior game. And the last time Jeremy had a bad game before the last 7 games was against Golden State. So the problem here isn't Jeremy, it's Golden State's really good. And not only Jeremy, but the whole team has trouble against Golden State. And so everybody looks bad, whether it's Kobe shooting 35% and taking 35 shots, or Jeremy only taking 2 shots and looking bad. It's not just him. It's everybody. The difference is when Jeremy is out of sync or he's not playing well, he doesn't hog the ball. So he looks like he disappeared. Well, it's hard to reappear when somebody else is taking 35 shots and nobody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Again, Jeremy is a team-oriented player. He's not an individual one-on-one player. Not right now. He can do it some. He can drive. He can beat his man and get to the basket, but he's much more team-oriented in the way that he plays. So the bottom line is it's not just him, and it's not on him. He didn't disappear. That was a team-wide failure. And when Jeremy fails in a game, then it looks like Golden State. Whereas when Kobe fails in the game, it looks like Golden State too, which is 35 shots and on a low percentage. So they both failed. It's just that the result looks different because of how they play. And that's it. But there's no crisis. Jeremy's not out of the league. He played well the game before, and he played well tonight the game after. And so it's just, I'm so tired of Jeremy goes through this scrutiny that it seems like nobody else does. Is Kobe out of the league after the Golden State Warriors game? No, but supposedly Jeremy is. I just can't wait until we're permanently beyond this. I'm just so tired of this. People are just looking for, I don't know, it's like imaginary unicorns that don't exist to just find a way to shove Jeremy off the stage. It's so frustrating. And you guys know what I'm talking about. You know it. You see it too. And I know people that are pretty rational about basketball. Pretty good. They analyze the game pretty well and stuff, but they still will jump to these reactions with Jeremy that don't make any sense at all. They're totally irrational. We said Jeremy had 5 good games going into Golden State, and then Golden State happens, and now he's not fit to be in the league. Nobody else goes through this. I just don't get it. I mean, I do get it in a certain way, but it's infuriating. So I'm just glad that we had this game tonight for the team and for Jeremy individually. And again, the more he does this, the further away that nonsense goes. The more his confidence is built up, the more the team's confidence is built up, the more that there's a track record that we can present to doubters and haters and say, here it is, shut up, bye-bye. The fluke game in the last 7 games was a Golden State game. The fluke games in the last 8 games were the Golden State games, both of them. Those were the worst games of the year for Jeremy. And that's because of how good Golden State is and the way that the Lakers as a team respond, not just Jeremy. So that's the anomaly, not Jeremy playing well. That's not the anomaly. Okay. On that same note, we saw Jeremy, and I've talked about this in the past, when Jeremy looks bad, he can look like, I would say, a YMCA type of player. YMCA is a place in the United States where it's just like a gym. And so it's a common place for people to go and work out and play basketball. So when I say YMCA player, I'm talking about like your average guy off the street playing basketball. And that's because Jeremy, again, is a team-oriented player. He's somebody that depends on other people. He's somebody that wants to drive to the basket and get you to come to him, and then he's going to pass the ball for a spectacular dunk. So when other guys aren't doing their jobs, he doesn't look good. But it's not just on him. Now, we want him to continue to develop his own one-on-one skills, and he's doing that. But fundamentally, Jeremy is a team player. He is a 5-on-5 player rather than a 1-on-1 player. Various coaches of Jeremy's in the past, like Tommy Amaker at Harvard, like his coach in high school, they'll say this. They will say something like, Jeremy has to be in the right system, or he has to be given control of things. And if he's not, then he doesn't look good. Then it doesn't look like he can play. But if you do it right, if you play team ball, then he looks amazing. Then he goes from YMCA player to all-star player. Tonight was all-star player. Golden State Warrior game was YMCA player. But it's the same guy, and the ability is still there. This is when the people say Linsanity was a fluke. No, it wasn't. It's that he was in the right system with the right talent. And if you do that and you play properly, Jeremy looks incredible and can get you wins like he did tonight. He can get you 10 assists easily against top-level talent. The reason why Jeremy was so frustrated after the Golden State Warriors game, so was Carlos Boozer and others, was because he knew the team wasn't playing right. And it's like you get frustrated. You can't come right out and call out Kobe, even though he and Carlos Boozer pretty much did that after that game. That's why he was so mad in the interview, and so he couldn't talk, because he knows that's not how to play. And Golden State can do that to you. They'll make you look pathetic if you don't know what you're doing and if your team discipline falls apart, which is what happened in that game. But it's just one game. And with this new team still trying to figure it out, it's not really unexpected. It's just the Warriors will make you look like that, and that's what happened. Nick Young had a big impact on this game. Not only did he score the ball with, 17 points, he changed the spacing of the offense. And the Lakers have really been missing three-point shooters. What happens is, and again, I mentioned this in the short video, and this has been talked about all this season so far. The offense of LA has been way off, and it's had a bad effect on the team. It's had a bad effect on Jeremy, because Jeremy hasn't had enough space to be able to drive to the basket. The reason for that is because the Lakers' shooting hasn't been good from the perimeter, from three-point range. The defense, it kind of collapses. It comes together around the paint area. It packs the paint. And so it's much more crowded for Jeremy to be able to get his drives to the basket. When you get somebody like Ryan Kelly or Nick Young or Wayne Ellington that can shoot the ball, then there's much more room, because the defense has to extend out to the three-point line, and then the spaces in between the defenders are much greater. Nick Young really helped that tonight. And this also goes along with the concept of the pick-and-roll players versus the pick-and-pop players. Remember, we've talked about how Jordan Hill and Carlos Boozer are more pick-and-pop than pick-and-roll. When you have too many pick-and-pop guys, that hurts the spacing, because the way that the defenders play the pick-and-roll, the motion, also tends to pack the paint. So the summary is, this team needs more pick-and-roll players, big men like Ed Davis, and they don't have them. They only have Ed Davis, really. And they need more shooters. And by getting Nick Young back tonight, you could immediately see the change in the offense. And in the way the defense had to play against the Lakers' offense. And that made things much easier for Jeremy. So just one player can make a big difference. And it's a shame that Ryan Kelly's going to be out another 6 weeks or more, because if you had Nick Young and Ryan Kelly, then you really could change the way the defense was looking against your offense, which would help Jeremy even more. But so putting all of this together, the game against Golden State, the lack of spacing, Nick Young not having pick-and-roll big men, when Jeremy looks bad, it's because of those factors in a large extent. But the ability's still there. Well, the Jeremy that was in New York, he's still there. But if you don't have the personnel to execute properly, and you don't have the mindset to play as a team, and then you go into 4 guys watching one guy dominate the ball, then Jeremy will look like he can't play. But when you do it right, you have the right spacing, and you have the right personnel, and guys play in a team-oriented way like they did tonight, then Jeremy looks like he did tonight. And that's what it is. Now, look, Jeremy will have good nights and he'll have bad nights. But his ability level is always there. It's better now than it's ever been. There's still a lot for him to work on. And he's not going to shoot this well every single night. But for any doubters or haters, the ability was always there. It's always been there, and it's always going to be there. It's not just about Jeremy Lin. It's about getting him in the right situation, the right scheme, the right offense, the right pieces. So that's much more of what this is about. And it's very good to see it when it looks correct and to put away the notions of he can't play and all this other nonsense. The energy of the team was much better tonight. They were focused. You could tell that they were serious tonight. They came into the game ready to play, and the Hawks were not ready to play. The Hawks thought it was going to be an easy game. The way that you could tell that was in the third quarter, after they were down by 12 or 14 or whatever, the Hawks went on a huge run. And they got the game back down to like tied or something after being down 14. It was because they played much harder. And what that meant is they didn't play hard in the first half. They just thought they could just turn it on whenever they wanted and beat this bad team in the Lakers. Well, it didn't work. And as I mentioned in the short videos, this happens all the time. When you have a long season, you'll get games like this. It happens all the time. But the Lakers, credit to them, they never let up. They kept going, and they wore down Atlanta, and they made Atlanta pay, and it was great to see. Finally, before I go into some selected quarter by quarter, this is why you don't get too upset or too crazy after one game. It's just one game. Especially when Jeremy had 5 good games coming into the Golden State Warrior game. 5 good games in a row. There's going to be games like that. And as I said, when Jeremy struggles, his stats will look really bad because that's his personality. When Kobe struggles, he's still going to get points. It's just going to be on a really low field goal percentage. When Jeremy struggles, he's going to back off and kind of stand down on the offense. And he's not going to shoot much. Maybe he'll get a few turnovers, kind of disappear. That's just his version of struggling. That doesn't mean he can't play or any of this other stuff. And he's going to have games where he struggles. There's still a ways to go for him as an individual player, fitting in with this team or whatever team he's on to work with his skill set. So there will be more nights like Golden State. And when they happen, just don't worry about it. Just realize there's another game and just think back of when Jeremy did well and he'll do well again. And so we're just again getting away from the Houston PTSD or like the crisis. One game means he's done. He's blah 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 blah. So just ignore that nonsense. And it's out there. Unfortunately, it's all out there as we know. So, but just don't pay too much attention to it. Okay, let's go to some selected quarter by quarter here. Right from the beginning of the game, Jeff Teague was trying to steal the ball from Jeremy. And I would imagine that what Jeff Teague was thinking was, hey, I'm going to be like Andre Iguodala, Kawhi Leonard. I'm going to steal the ball from Jeremy just like they did and punk him out. Well, that didn't really happen. And that's good to see. That's like I said, some of these guys just think Jeremy's a chump. They're going to try to make him look bad. And he's really not that good. And I like that Jeremy stood up to that, and that didn't happen. So I said, he's got to change the narrative. And tonight he did. and that was good to see. So I could tell that right from the beginning. Jeff Teague was up on him and trying to do that. Jeremy got his first assist of the game early in the first to pass to Carlos Boozer for a jump shot. He also was getting fouled several times pretty quickly in this game. Jeremy scored his first basket of the game also early in the first. Kobe Bryant stole the ball, and he passed it to a cutting Jeremy in transition for a layup. Then Jeremy had a nice aggressive play middle of the first where he made his only three-pointer of the game. He was on the right-hand side, about 45 degrees right of the top of the arc. He was trying to throw the ball into Carlos Boozer, I believe, but he could not get the pass. There wasn't a passing lane. And so instead, he just pulled up and shot the three, and he nailed it. And that was a good, aggressive play. We talk about this. We say, look for your shot. Because there are times when Jeremy has the shot, and he's not taking it. And he took the shot more tonight when it was there. And he looked to make the shot. He looked to make his own opportunities to shoot more tonight. He was looking to shoot more tonight. And this is the way that he should play. If you notice somebody like Rob Sacre, the center, he comes in and he's just shooting everything. Or Jordan Hill, he's shooting everything. Jeremy needs to be a little bit more like that. Not too much. Again, Jeremy, he is consciously backing off shooting more. He's trying to be a pure point guard. I mean, he's trying to pass the ball more and facilitate the offense more. You can see he's trying to do more of that. And that's good because this team needs that. But Jeremy's a good scorer, and the team also needs that. And so tonight he did both. This was actually, in a lot of ways this is almost like Linsanity with high points and high assists. The only difference was he didn't go for 20 points plus. But he didn't need to. He didn't shoot enough to do that. But when he's at his best, or Linsanity is at its best, it's points and assists. And he's hurting you in scoring and in distributing. And that's more of what tonight was. So he can't take away the shooting. And he needs to be able to be aggressive when Kobe's on the floor. And he did that tonight, and that was good. And Kobe didn't shoot too much. And didn't dominate the ball too much. So that made it possible for Jeremy to be able to do that. Again, if Kobe shoots 35 times in this game, Jeremy can't do this. He can't. So it's not just Jeremy. It's Kobe too. If Kobe's doing that, then things can't work. And so give credit to Kobe because he adjusted. But the people criticizing Jeremy, you have to understand it's not just him. Yes, he needs to be more aggressive, but you can't be aggressive if you're not getting the ball. So it's a team thing. They're still figuring this out. And it's as much about Kobe or more than it is about Jeremy. So it's on everybody. Okay, then Jeremy almost stole the ball on a pass Atlanta was trying to make from its perimeter into its post man. So he was disrupting the ball, which is good. Then I made a note that says, why is Kobe bringing the ball up some? And this is, again, a thing like Harden where usually Jeremy would be bringing the ball up, but instead Kobe was bringing it up some. But Kobe on this particular play, and this is middle of the first, he brought the ball up, then he fed the ball into Carlos Boozer. So it might have been a thing if they wanted to get the ball to Carlos Boozer and Kobe just thought he could do it better. I don't know. But they'll alternate sometimes in bringing the ball up, and that's Kobe's initiating that. Kobe will just stand there and wait for the ball out of bounds rather than it going to Jeremy, which it normally would in a typical situation because Jeremy's the point guard. So that happens sometimes, and that's Kobe's decision. Okay, the first substitutions of this game that Byron Scott made was he put Nick Young in for Wesley Johnson, and he put Ed Davis in for Carlos Boozer. And this happened about midway through the quarter. When this first happened, Paul Millsap, who was the starting power forward for the Hawks, was doing really well early. And it looked like, here we go. It's going to be another one of these tough nights for Carlos Boozer on defense. And Byron Scott's been talking about making lineup changes. Well, looks like that means Carlos Boozer is going to play less because Ed Davis is coming really early. Now, you're bringing in Nick Young because you need scoring. I don't even know if that's an indictment of Wesley Johnson. It's more like we want Nick in the game. But for the Boozer thing, I was thinking, but the great thing is that Carlos responded really well later in the game, and that was fantastic. Also, middle of the first, Jeremy he forced a steal. Pero Antic, the center for the Hawks, got an offensive rebound, and then Jeremy either stripped him or basically forced the ball out of his hands so that the Lakers could get the rebound. It was a really nice play. Then I put Nick Young gunning quickly. So Nick's going to come in and get shots up. But that was actually okay tonight because he was hitting shots and it spread the ball around. It wasn't just Kobe taking a bunch of shots. When you have multiple people making offensive plays, then the defense has to respect that. Then the spacing gets better. So it was actually good because it means that there's more distribution on your offense. There's more variety, and that helps you in terms of keeping the defense on edge. Okay, then Jeremy came out of the game, 3:33 left in the first quarter. Lakers were up 21-15. Came out for Ronnie Price. And Kobe made a really nice play to Nick Young right at the end of the first quarter for a Nick Young three. It was a nice play by Kobe. So again, having Nick back is definitely helping. At the end of the first quarter, Jeremy already had 8 points and 1 assist, and his efficiency for that quarter was 10, which is fantastic. So he started out great in this game, and he really didn't let up much until the game was pretty much over. He was 3 for 3 shooting in that quarter. Heading into the second, Jeremy started the quarter on the bench. The crowd was very much pro-Lakers. There were tons of Lakers fans in the crowd, tons of Kobe's fans, and you could hear them. Atlanta is, there's a lot of people that move there from other places, and there's a lot of people there that are just Lakers and Kobe's fans. So if you were wondering why the crowd was like that, that's just kind of the nature of the fans there. And they get a lot of opposing fans that come into the arena a bunch of times. Okay. Going into the middle of the second, Jeremy came in for Ronnie Price. At that point, 43-35 for the Lakers with 6 minutes and 49 seconds left. Then Jeremy had a nice steal and assist. He stole the ball. He went down on help defense, stole the ball from the big man, passed it to Kobe Bryant for a layup, and I believe in transition. It was really nice. Then he had another assist right after that, dished it to Carlos Boozer on a run out, and Carlos got like a layup or a jumper, I believe. Now the Lakers were in full stride. They were moving. They were rolling. And Atlanta looked terrible. Atlanta looked like they didn't know what they were doing at all. And they're better than that. And Jeremy was just a nice groove here. And the groove that he was in now was as a passer. Between the middle of the second quarter, between 6 minutes and 49 seconds left, and the end of the quarter, Jeremy had 5 assists. Got assist 2 through assist number 6 in this game. So he was controlling the action. And guys were running out. They were putting effort in to give Jeremy somebody to pass to, and it was really good. He passed the ball to Kobe for a 3. He passed the ball to Carlos Boozer for a jumper. He passed the ball to Carlos Boozer for another jumper. Then Jeremy did one of those probe dribbles, meaning go into the defense in the lane, do a little circle, go through the middle of the lane in a circle, and then pass it to somebody. In this case, it was to Ed Davis for a and one layup, meaning Ed got made the layup and was fouled for a free throw. Then Jeremy had a nice little step back dribble. He drove into the lane, stepped back, got his man going backwards, and stepped back to create space for the jump shot, and he shot it. Then soon after that, he forced Jeff Teague into an air ball layup attempt. And then right after that, he drove on Jeff Teague. He stepped back and shot a bank shot off of the glass for a shot. Then he had his only bad play of the half, which was this is late in the second. He had a turnover where he drove on the right side of the lane. He went up, and then he passed the ball, and Paul Millsap read it. Now, this is the thing of don't jump the pass and you have to know where you're going with the ball before you jump. So it wasn't bad, though, because he was being very aggressive and making things happen, and he had Atlanta's defense on their heels. So he was doing things the right way. And when you play at such a pace and so aggressive, you will get turnovers here and there. But it's okay. Jeremy finished the half 12 points, 6 assists, and only 1 turnover. So a 6-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Also at this time, Carlos Boozer had come back very strong. He had 14 points in the second quarter alone. What happened with Carlos, and this is what we talk about with Jeremy being able to do this, Carlos got mad because Paul Millsap was crushing him and making him look bad. Like he had a dunk on Carlos Boozer. And Carlos was like, no, okay, you're going at me, I'm going to go at you. And this is the game within the game. Carlos had pride, and he responded. He ended up at the half with 18 points and 7 rebounds. So he had basically nullified Paul Millsap. Millsap had 19 points at the half, but Carlos had 18 points, and he had more rebounds than Millsap. So you got to do this sometimes. You can't blow the offense up to go one-on-one. You can't do that. That won't work. But you, as a player, have to get respect. So if you have a guy that's out there trying to mess with you, you get on him. And we've talked about this all year. We've talked about it before with Jeremy, because guys will target Jeremy. And we'll talk more about that in this game in a bit. Guys are going at you. You got to go at them on whatever. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can go at them hard on defense, or you can go at them hard on offense, or you can go at them hard on offense and defense. But you got to respond to that, because if you don't, then they'll keep doing it, and then you feel weak, or you look weak, or it can affect your confidence, and it can give the other guy more confidence. So what Carlos did in the second quarter that's how you do it. Carlos wasn't forcing shots, but he got aggressive. It's like, no, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to attack back instead of I'm just going to be the little punching bag here. That's what we want Jeremy to do. And he did it in this game, and he's been doing it most of this year. This is the whole thing about, hey, we want Jeremy to be more competitive. We want Jeremy to answer the challenge or whatever. And he did it in this game. And the exchange with Millsap and Boozer shows you it's not just Jeremy. This happens in every single game, every single night. You have these little battles. And you could see what happened in this game. I don't know when it was, maybe in the second quarter. Paul Millsap got a dunk on Boozer. And the bench of the Atlanta players all, ooh, and everybody's, oh, Carlos looks bad. Oh, he's getting punked out. And Carlos, take it personal. Okay? All right, now it's my turn. That's how you do it. Again, anybody that's played pickup, anybody that's played ball in organized team basketball, they know this is any sport, but particularly in basketball because it's high scoring. Like, you can't go one-on-one all the time in, like, soccer because you don't score enough. You don't have enough time to do that. Or in basketball, there's so much scoring, this happens all the time. And that's what it looks like. And that's what we want Jeremy to do. And he did it. He's been doing it this year. He's responded to guys doing this with him. If you remember the 2 years in Houston, the one thing that stands out to my mind, but this happened numerous times to Jeremy, and Houston didn't help him out, which was really frustrating. Late in the end of games, guys would attack Jeremy, or they'd attack him the whole game. James Anderson, who played on Houston, and then Houston got rid of him when they got Jeremy, 2012, 2013, Jeremy's first year in Houston. Remember, he had that monster game against Houston. He had like 40 points or 39 points, and that was mostly against Jeremy. Why? Because James Anderson got in his head. Houston had wronged him, and maybe he was mad because they kept Jeremy, they didn't keep him, so he tried to take it out on Jeremy. So all of a sudden, he's the greatest scorer in NBA history. If you're Jeremy, you got to take that personally. And Houston didn't back him up. In other words, guys on his team weren't helping him. So if a guy's trying to make you look bad, you need your teammates to help you out. So say somebody like James Anderson's trying to go crazy against Jeremy. So if James Anderson drives by you, you need your big man to block a shot. You need a big man to maybe knock him down. Well, nobody did that much in Houston for Jeremy. It's almost like they wanted him to get embarrassed, which was pathetic, but whatever. Or Isaiah Thomas last year, I think it was. Okay, we're playing Sacramento, and now every single play late in the game is Isaiah Thomas isolating on Jeremy. This is what I'm talking about. This was what Millsap was doing to Carlos Boozer. They were on purpose going at Carlos Boozer on defense when Carlos was playing defense. That's what they used to do to Jeremy, and they did it in this game later. I'll talk about that. If you're the player that's being targeted, you have to take it personally in a smart way. I mean, you don't just foul a guy just because you're mad. You have to respond appropriately, and your teammates need to help you out. And again, that's one of the problems we have with Houston. Nobody was helping Jeremy out. They didn't have his back. No, McHale would just pull him. He'd pull him out of the game and put in Patrick Beverley. Even when Jeremy was playing good defense, they'd pull him out, which was stupid. Now, they pulled Jeremy out later in this game for defense, and I'll talk about that, but it wasn't the same thing. It's a different circumstance. This is what we said. Houston didn't give him a fair chance. They put Jeremy on an island and let him stay there. Another way that your teammates help you out in those situations is if a guy's going at you on offense, then they'll give you the ball when you're on offense so that you have a chance to go back at the person. That never happened in Houston, or it happened rarely. But what I like about Jeremy is that he's getting better at that. And again, the example here is Carlos Boozer. He got his get back tonight against Paul Millsap. And basketball is definitely a lot about confidence. And Carlos was able to get past that little down period. And, ooh, Paul dunked. Ooh. And he got back into the flow. And that's what Jeremy needs to do. And he's doing it more and more, and he did it tonight. And that's what it looks like. That's this little chess game that goes on a lot in these games. Okay, early in the third, Jeremy had already racked up 4 blown assists, but again, you can't hit every shot, so you're going to get that. Then Jeremy had a nice steal in transition. Sacramento got the ball. They threw like a full-length court pass. Jeremy grabbed it, so it was a really nice play. And the announcers mentioned it because one of the problems for the Lakers has been their transition defense, meaning getting back when the other team's trying to go on a fast break. That was a great play by Jeremy. He got back, and he stole the ball. Really nice. Then Jeremy had his second turnover of the game. They double-teamed him when he got into the front court. There's the back court, the mid-court line, and then the front court. The front court is when you cross over half court. They trapped him right as he passed over mid-court, and I believe Paul Millsap stole the ball from him. And in those situations, Jeremy has to stay calm. If they're trying to double team you, whatever, either wait until one of your teammates comes to help you out, make a pass, or a lot of times in situations like that, what you'll see players do is call a timeout. But to be fair, he didn't really have much of a chance. It was a good play by Atlanta, and Paul Millsap basically just reached his hand in and poked the ball away. But this is where we want Jeremy to stay when the pace of the game picks up and the intensity of the game picks up. Stay calm. Stay calm. And again, you only learn how to do that by playing in those situations and succeeding and failing. So the more he's in them, the better he'll get. And he did fine. Like I said, it's not like he turned the ball over a lot. He had a 3-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. That's fantastic. So it's just one play, basically. Okay, then, let's see, what is this? Yeah. Right after that play, Atlanta was on a run. They were making a run. This is the third quarter when they came out much more serious. And they were like, okay, now we're going to take control of this game. We're a better team than you. We're just going to punk you out. That's the mentality Atlanta had. And they were rolling now. And as I just mentioned, these are situations where sometimes in the past, Jeremy's had a little bit of a struggle. This is like playing Oklahoma City in the playoffs, and Jeremy freezes up in big moments, and he can't handle the intensity, etc., etc. So I was glad that this was happening because he needs more exposure to these situations so that he can learn how to navigate them. So right after the turnover, then Jeremy had a not great defensive play. Atlanta set a screen, a high screen for Jeff Teague. Basically, Jeff Teague was right at the middle of the top of the three-point arc. And I want to say that Per Antich or Paul Millsap came out to set a screen for him, to give him room. Jeremy went under the screen. And what that means is the opposing player sets the pick, and you go underneath him, meaning you go closer to the basket than further from the basket and getting through the screen. What that does is it leaves more space for the jump shooter. You have to be careful of doing that against someone that's a good jump shooter because then they have room to shoot. And so Jeremy went under the screen. Jeff Teague sized up the three-pointer, and Jeremy didn't close out on him. He didn't get up in him, and Jeff Teague hit a three-pointer. And at that point in the game, I was like, uh-oh. This could be a situation where Jeremy starts to lose his confidence. Atlanta's putting pressure on the Lakers. They're on a run. Jeremy just had a turnover. Jeremy just looked passive on a defensive play, and Jeff Teague's trying to go at him. But he didn't do it. He fought through it. The same way that Carlos Boozer fought through the Millsap stuff in the second quarter. And this is, as I said, there's so much that goes on in these games. It's like watching a soap opera. You have to know every episode so that you can understand what's going on, the mental game, play to play and week to week and game to game. This is a really important thing for Jeremy because he has struggled with this before, whether it's fair or not. He's been put in some bad situations, but I was like, okay, this is an important moment here. The Lakers need to stop the run, and Jeremy himself needs to not fold up because they give all the doubters, oh, see, he folded again, but he didn't fold. Right after that play, had a great pass to Jordan Hill for a dunk. Jeremy got the ball, got into transition, fast break, passed the ball to Jordan Hill for a dunk. Then right after that, he passed the ball to Jordan Hill for a layup. What happened here, instead of going into his little shell like a turtle, and to be fair, Jeremy does have this disposition. Sometimes when he's a little overwhelmed or he's thinking a lot or he feels a little under siege, he will shrink and disappear. But he didn't do that here. If they're coming at you, you go at them. That's the way you deal with it. The best defense is a good offense. Okay, you're attacking you, you attack them. And the way that this looks for somebody like Jeremy, or at least the way that it looked in this game, was you're going fast on offense, the Hawks are against us, and so we're going to come back fast against you. Jeremy's best asset is his speed. So even if you go down Hawks and score, I'm going to come back really quickly on you and score back. That's how you do it. There's a lot of different ways to get your get back. And that's one of the ways, and that's one of the best ways for Jeremy because he's faster than everybody and he's great at creating plays. So it's like, okay, you scored. I'm going to come back right down. Here it is. Dunk Jordan Hill, layup Jordan Hill, both off of passes from me. I'm creating the play. You want to score? Let's score. Let's score. Let's score. Let's score. That's it. That's it. So instead of going into the shell, you attack. You're being attacked, attack back. And that's what Jeremy did there, and it worked great. This is what we want to see. This is how he gets beyond these things. And to be fair, and this goes back to the Houston PTSD. This is really important. If this happened to him in Houston, he would have been benched. And that's part of what I'm saying with Houston. They didn't give him a chance to respond. And that's part of the reason why he's been so shell-shocked and looking over his shoulder. Oh, you made a turnover and then maybe didn't play a great defensive play? Okay, come sit on the bench. Now, if it happened to James Harden, no problem. Just play through it, James. But you, Jeremy Lin, you come sit on McHale's bench. And that's how you get scared. Because you know if you make any mistakes, or even if you don't make a mistake, you still might get blamed. So if James Harden's man beats him, Clyde Drexler might say that you made a mistake on defense. Or Kevin McHale might bench you, but he might let somebody else play through a mistake. This is why Jeremy does have the tendency to be a little nervous at times. That's just his personality. That's fine in a game. But because of what happened in Houston, that tendency got magnified because of the way that they treated Jeremy. He became even more afraid, and then you can't play. People, well, why is he so scared? Because of how he's treated. And that's the reason why Kobe and others were saying you don't have to look over your shoulder. But it takes time to break habits. Jeremy's a human being like everybody else is. You get conditioned mentally. He was conditioned for 2 years at least. Not talking about all the Carmelo stuff at the end. Where he was the problem. He was the one messing up. He was the defensive liability. etc. And that's what happened in Houston. And now you've seen him breaking out of it. But it doesn't happen instantly, and there will be, if it's like a progress curve, up and then down a little bit and up again and down, but it's slowly going up. There will be Golden State Warriors games. It's not a perfect straight line going up, the linear curve. There will be dips. As long as the overall curve is going up, then you win. The overall curve for Jeremy is going up. Tonight was big up. But just that's why it's important we don't overreact to the setbacks. Don't listen to the haters and doubters. And as Jeremy gets more comfortable and less shell-shocked from Houston, then he'll do more and more of this. So people say, oh, he's all he's going to be. Are you nuts? In some ways, Jeremy's like an NBA baby, an infant. He hasn't played that much. He hasn't done that much. He's still learning everything. And it's like somebody overcoming a whole bunch of negative experiences. So it's almost like an NBA infant that's gone through a whole bunch of trauma. He's just getting started. He's just getting started. Now, of course, he needs the opportunity, but as I've said before, I really, truly believe the Lakers are invested in him. Remember, they're one of the first and they're one of the original 4 teams that had interest in him when he came out for the draft in 2010, I think it was. Was them, Lakers, Warriors, Dallas Mavericks, and one other team. I think. I don't remember right now. Those were the teams that were interested in him. The Lakers have had their eyes on him for a long time. And he's rewarding that. Okay, the Warriors game, well, how about the other 6 games around that game? So it's great. Okay, then right after those 2 assists in a row, Jordan Hill dunk, Jordan Hill layup, then he forced Jeff Teague into a missed layup. Now, at this point in the game, this is close to the middle of the third quarter. This point in the game, Jeff Teague was trying to make Jeremy look bad. He had it in his head. Jeremy is a weak defender, and I'm going to attack him. We've seen this. This was like what Paul Millsap was doing to Carlos Boozer earlier in the game. Now we're going to isolate Jeremy Lin, and I'm going to score on him, and he can't stop me. But that didn't happen. And Jeff Teague, at some point in this game, got mad. And I don't remember where it is. Maybe it's a little bit later. Jeff Teague got mad because Jeremy was doing so well, and Jeff Teague couldn't break Jeremy down, and it was making him mad, and it was hilarious. And this is what Jeremy needs to do. Look, and you guys know this. You know this. You know, anybody that's played basketball knows the stereotypes. Hey, this guy's not any good. That guy's not any good. A lot of these guys look at Jeremy, and they see this chump Asian guy. And this is the guy that we're going to exploit, right? And I'm just being real here. I'm not trying to, I don't believe this. Some of these guys, this guy's not any good. Okay, now I'm gonna just make him look bad, and I'm gonna score. It's not fair. But anybody that's played on the playgrounds, this happens all the time. This is just the way it is. Jeremy's got to stand up to this every single game. And again, it's not fair. It's not right. In a perfect world, it wouldn't happen. But there's an extra burden on Jeremy because of the stupid stereotypes, because he's the Harvard kid. And so guys are going to come at him more than they would go at other guys. And what he's got to do is you got to answer the challenge every single time. Just keep answering it, keep answering it, keep answering it, keep answering it. You got to teach these guys how they're going to treat you and that they're not going to do this to you. And Jeremy did that tonight. That's why I'm happy and I'm proud of him, because this is what you have to do. Jeremy is a good player, and he's more athletic than many guys in the league at his position, but guys don't see him that way. This is why we talked about this in earlier years with Jeremy. Guys will play better against Jeremy at times because they have an irrational level of confidence based upon their perception of how good Jeremy is. In other words, they don't think Jeremy's that good, even though he is good. But because the opponent doesn't think Jeremy's that good, they play better. James Anderson scoring 40. Isaiah Thomas hitting crazy threes when Jeremy's all over him. So these guys do better because they believe that Jeremy's not any good based on their perceptions. You can see it. I'm not reading anybody's mind here. You can see the way that they play against him. And Jeremy, it's got to be so frustrated, Jeremy, because he's got to deal with this, even though he's a good player. What happens and what we've seen, and it happened in this game, and it's happened in many other games, is you got to put some sense into them. You got to get them off of that mental track. And Jeremy does that. And the way that he does it is by blocking their shots and getting by them on defense and scoring on them. You've got to re-educate them about the reality. And the way that you see this, and this happens all the time, and it happened in this game, is guys will get by Jeremy or whatever, and they won't shoot around the basket because they're afraid they're going to get blocked. So you can come in, you can think whatever, and you can think Jeremy's the Asian Harvard pushover. Then you learn the truth. And that's what he has to do. And it's tough. It's not fair, and it's not his personality. Jeremy he's a cocky dude. He is. But he's not a guy that wants to embarrass people. He's not somebody that wants to he's not into making people look bad. He'd rather just play well and just play well, but it doesn't have to do with anybody else looking bad. But some of these guys are trying to take it personal. You take it personal. And it's tough. It's tough. You have to adjust to that mentality. It's a tough thing. He's in a tough spot. He didn't ask for people to look at him as a chump. But because of all the stupid nonsense that floats around, the stereotypes or whatever it is, he has to deal with it. But he's dealing with it well. He's dealing with it well, and he dealt well with it in this game. Like I said, frustrated Jeff Teague. You could see it was frustrating Teague. It was hilarious, actually. So I'm very happy and proud of Jeremy because he's dealing with this in a situation that he didn't ask for. Then I put, right after he forced that layup, I put DBS. Don't be scared now, Jeremy. The pace of the game is picking up. Go into it. Again, Jeremy's the type of person, sometimes things get a little tense and he kind of pulls back. That's just his nature. And I can relate to that. Sometimes I'm like that. You can see it. When it gets hectic, when it gets a little tense, go into it. Like he did with the go in. Okay, they're scoring at you. You run down and you pass the ball to Jordan Hill for a dunk. Go into the flow rather than away from it. And that's what he did tonight. It was good to see. Okay, then middle of the third, Jeremy came off of a screen, and he got the ball, and he just took a nice, aggressive jump shot from the top of the key. So he was being aggressive. I'm going to shoot more. When there's an opening for me, I'm going to take it, and I'm going into the chaos, not running away from it, going into it. And it was great. This is exactly the way that he needs to play. And to be fair, it's the way the Lakers want him to play. or at least what Kobe says he wants anyway. So that's good. That's good. Then right after that play, then he had his third and final turn of the game. Excuse me. He drove down the left-hand side of the lane. He wanted to pass the ball to Jordan Hill. So again, Jeremy jumped into the air. He didn't really have a place to go. Jordan Hill moved in a way that Jeremy didn't expect him to move. Jeremy thought he was going to move a certain way. He moved a different way. He didn't have anywhere to pass. The ball got turned over. That was Jeremy's fault. Even though Jordan did not move the way that he wanted him to, still, if you get up in the air and you make a turnover, that's your fault, because you should not jump in the air to pass. Just, you never want to do that. But I didn't have a problem with it, again, because the assisted turnover rate was high and Jeremy was being aggressive. He was attacking. Atlanta was attacking and he was attacking back. So if you're doing that, that's okay. That's the way. If you're going to make a mistake, that's the way you want it to be, instead of not trying and making mistakes where you're not trying to do something. If you're going to make a mistake, do it when you're trying to actually make something happen, and that's what he did. And if he could have that play back, shoot the ball. Shoot a floater there. If you're not sure if you can get a pass, shoot it. So and that will come in time. The more he does those plays, the more he has those opportunities, then he will do that. So that's why floaters exist, or one of the reasons. Okay, then this is still middle of the third. I put Jeff Teague going at Jeremy. So again, Jeff Teague was still going at him, even though Jeremy was getting him pretty good right now. And I said, be aggressive. Right after that, he had his 9th assist into Jordan Hill for a little jump hook, and I put staying aggressive. Then, Jeremy had his 10th and final assist of the game. Drove to the basket, drew the defender, dished the ball off to Ed Davis for a dunk, which led to an Atlanta timeout. 83-76 Lakers, 4:43 left in the third. And I put staying aggressive. So the Lakers and Jeremy Lin won that section of the game. From the beginning of the third quarter to now middle of the third quarter, 4 minutes and 43 seconds left. Even though Atlanta did cut the lead down, the Lakers held strong. Atlanta came full guns blazing, all out. And Jeremy was able to stay in the moment, stay aggressive, fight back against Jeff Teague, don't get overwhelmed by the increased intensity of the game, and he won. And the Lakers won. They made their stand because the lead had gotten down to like 1. And now they pushed it back to 7, and the pace had changed. And so much of what happened there was because of Jeremy. After the game on Twitter, and I didn't pick up on this at first, Dartboard Trader or somebody else said, "Hey, Kobe was praising Jeremy for the third quarter. Why did he do that?" Now I understand why he did it. Because Jeremy was statistically better in the first and second quarters. But the reason why Kobe praised him in the third quarter is because he stood up to the challenge. When the game got tense, Jeremy responded. That's why Kobe was praising him in the third quarter, for the third quarter. Now I understand it. Because, again, this has been a criticism of Jeremy before. And there's some validity to the criticism. He again, because of his personality, he has had a little bit of issues with this in the past. Not tonight. And again, the only way you change your mental programming and change the narrative is by having success. It's by going through it and succeeding. Tonight was success. And that's why Kobe was praising him. Now I understand why. Even though, it wasn't his best quarter statistically, he stood up to the challenge and he helped lead the Lakers through the tough Atlanta attack. And that's what happened. And he gained and regained control for the team. It was great. Then late in the third, after the timeout, Oh, I also said, but that was an instance, that sequence, because a lot of that was, there was some scoring by Jeremy, but most of it was passing. That is the way that you get your get back, or you attack back when you're attacked or the team's attacked, and doing it in a passing way rather than a scoring way. So the way that he responded most of the time there was as a pure point guard, as a distributor, rather than as a scorer. And that's really important for him because Jeremy's a better passer than he is a one-on-one scorer, at least in the team format. What I mean by that is Jeremy can beat anybody off the dribble. Nobody can stay in front of him. He's too quick. But if you beat your man off the dribble, there's still a big man waiting at the rim that can block your shot. So in other words, it's not one-on-one. It's you one-on-two. So Jeremy's still working on his ability to score easily in any situation. He still has work to do on that, like the perimeter one-on-one moves. So you don't have to deal with a second defender at the rim. But Jeremy can pass as well as anybody, or almost as well. So he's better at passing than he is at one-on-one scoring. And so in this situation, you needed to respond. You wanted to make something happen. And he was able to do that without having to score. And that's how you do it. You destroy the other team with your passing. And you can demoralize a team and get your get back and be an effective player passing the ball. And that's why I was really happy that he did that in that circumstance, because sometimes Jeremy tried to do too much. He'll try to make plays or make scoring things that he's not ready to do yet. He'll get there, but not yet. Maybe he doesn't feel comfortable enough with his shot, or his one-on-one moves aren't good enough, but he wants to make something happen. You know, you want to express your ability. Well, he did it. Do it with your passing. And that's what he did in that sequence right there. Okay, maybe I can't score whatever. I can go right at you, get two men on me, and then pass it to a guy for a dunk. And that's as good as any shot that I'm going to take and make. So that's a really important development for him. Learning how to dominate the game without having to score. And doing it efficiently. Yeah, he had a couple turnovers in there. He also had about 6 assists. Controlling the game with passing. Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, two of the greatest ever, could dominate a game without scoring. And they could dominate it with passing, one of the ways. Certainly Magic in particular, but also Larry Bird. Jeremy's learning new ways to play. And it worked great. And like I said, I understand now why Kobe praised him. That is what you can do today, Jeremy Lin. Even if you can't be super scorer quite yet, off of your own perimeter jump shooting moves and stuff, you can destroy a team by passing. And that's what he did to Atlanta right there. And he can do this every single night right now. Today. Every game. You don't have to wait until you develop one-on-one moves another year or two. You can do it today. And I love it. That's great. I'm happy that Kobe praised him, because I remember people said he couldn't pass. I remember with David Thorpe from ESPN, he's not that good of a passer. Jeremy is a great passer. But there were 2 times in this game. One was a pass to Ed Davis, and one was a pass to Carlos Boozer, where guys missed easy layups on passes from Jeremy because they didn't expect the pass because the pass was so good. They couldn't believe that they got the ball when they got it. Jeremy's a fantastic passer. That's why, again, he has so much ability. It's just about channeling it and funneling it and expressing it properly and under control, where it's not too out of control. And like I said, that's what he found here in the third quarter, and that's why Kobe's praising him. And when Jeremy looks at this game film and the team looks at this game film, they're going to be like, holy man, Jeremy could have had 15 assists in this game. He can do this every single night. But to be fair, he does have to be under control because sometimes he will try to overpass. If he can bottle this up, he can dominate like this almost every single night. Seriously, and it'll get better and better. And so, like I said, I'm glad that Kobe praised him, and this performance is going to help him a lot and show him, don't worry. If you're not comfortable scoring yet or being the second scorer, don't worry about it. Just dominate with your passing. And then pretty soon the guys will start looking for passes, and he'll get even more assists, and they'll get even more points. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, and this is what I said. Right after that timeout, then there was the fifth blown assist of Jeremy for the game. Great play in transition. Ed Davis missed it because the pass was so good. That's right. Jeremy was totally grooving now. This is what the announcers were saying. Stu Lance was saying earlier in the year. Jeremy, don't think, just play. Because at this point, Jeremy's just playing. He's just reacting. And you get these like maestro wizardry plays and passes. And he can do this. That's why I said Jeremy's like a virtuoso in a bottle. And people have seen the bottle uncorked, but they're not really sure. Some people that are haters want to put the cork back in the bottle. Jeremy's trying to figure out how to keep the cork off the bottle. And he's getting there. And once he figures it out and the situation is correct, then it's over. And he's going to dominate pretty consistently. This is why, and I said this before, and I can't prove this. This is just my own theory. Remember this whole rumor came out recently about Rajon Rondo to the Lakers? I got to wonder who put that rumor out. I think it was an NBA executive. And Look, I don't want to be too much conspiracy theorist here. What NBA executive might say that? It could be, just thinking out loud here, could be an executive that let Jeremy Lin go that might not want him to do well because they don't want to look bad. So, you want to interrupt him? You think Jeremy's mentally weak? Hey, why don't we get the Lakers fans thinking about another point guard? How could we do that? Why don't we just mention that, yeah, an NBA executive thinks that the Lakers are going to go after Rajon Rondo. Isn't that weird that came out? Yeah, wonder who might be interested in putting that out there. So, there are people, they know what Jeremy can do, but he's still getting to the point where he can do it, and it's the genie is out of the bottle, the cork is off the bottle consistently. And that's why I said, if he can just climb the mountain one more time, then it's all over. And that's what happened in this game, particularly in the third quarter. And I'm glad that Kobe praised him. I'm glad that this game film exists. Because the team can look at it, and Jeremy can look at it and say, yeah, that is Linsanity. That is Jeremy's ability level, the true ability level. That's there. It's always been there, and it's always going to be there. And when you can get into that flow, and you're not overthinking, and you're just playing, That's what it looks like. And nobody can deal with you because you're too quick and you're too good at making plays. So this is like I said, this just all came together for me of why Kobe was saying that. That's great. Okay. Late in the third, Jeremy forced Jeff Teague into a total brick layup at the rim. And I put Jeff Teague's trying to go at Jeremy still. So this whole quarter, he was going to go at him. He was going to go at him. He was going to go at Jeremy, and Jeremy fought him off. Not only did he fight him off, he outdid him. I think Jeff Teague had more points, but Jeremy definitely outplayed him. There's no question about that. He definitely had more efficiency. He got the better of him, and Jeff Teague knew it, and he wasn't happy about it. Good. That's what we want. We want every single opposing point guard to leave disgruntled because they got clowned by the Harvard kid. That's what we want. That's the way it is. Like I said, I'm not trying to be nasty here, but that's what Jeremy's got to get in his head. You don't want these guys to be happy. You want to be unhappy. Not because it's not your fault, it's their fault. Because they think you suck, and you need to shut them up and leave them unhappy when they leave the game. That's their fault. Screw these guys. Just like Eric Bledsoe with that stupid cheap shot. I'll take this stuff, fight back, and he fought back. And that's it. It's just like I said, this is all nonsense. He shouldn't have to deal with any of this. He really shouldn't. But this is part of him being a trailblazer. Breaking the mold. This is the stuff you have to go through. So all these people say, oh, Jeremy this and Jeremy that. Remember, he's got to go through this every single day. He didn't ask for this, but he's got to deal with it. And not only does he have to deal with the clowns who think he sucks because of their stereotypes, he's got to deal with his own fan base that lives through him and that lives and dies with every single game. So if Jeremy doesn't do well, it's like their lives suck, and they're mad at him because Jeremy didn't make them feel good. As I said, Jeremy's under a tremendous amount of pressure. Tremendous amount of pressure. And again, he's sensitive. He in a good way. He's aware. He's emotionally intelligent. And so he's got to turn the volume down on all of this so that he just can play. And that's why he doesn't pay attention to social media and he's not trying to answer haters right. There's too much noise. So for all the people that say, well, Jeremy's just popular because he's Asian. Some of that is true, but there's a real negative to that. He's under an incredible amount of pressure from his fans around the world because of that, in my opinion, and he's got to deal with all the negative stereotypes of it. He can't just go out and play. He's got to deal with all this junk of the stereotypes. So it might seem great, but it's a lot of pressure. And again, if Jeremy had more of the Kobe's F it attitude, then he wouldn't care. But he's not like that. So it's more burdensome for him because of his personality. So you have to remember that. He's trying to just live his life. But he's got all of this stuff that's piled up on him. And so you have to figure out how do you unpack it? How do you get away from all of that? And that's what he's doing. And when he does do it, it looks like this. Because underneath all of that is this incredible wizardry as a basketball player that very few players have. Very few can do this. This is the Linsanity magic ingredient. And that's what was going on in that quarter. Aggressive, super quick, great passes, great playmaking. Like I said, the good thing about this team, despite all of the negatives, and yes, Kobe's had some lip service, and they're giving him a chance. And at least Kobe's come out and publicly defended Jeremy. I know Jeremy can play. He's really, really good, etc. Well, I'll take that over what happened in Houston. It's not perfect. But it's allowing Jeremy to progress. And Jeremy, again, if he can just find his way through the maze one more time, climb the mountain one more time, then it's over. And he's getting there. He advanced in the maze today. That's it. That's it. That's what's important. So again, don't get caught up in one game or even wins and losses. Is he figuring it out? Tonight he figured it out. That's what we want to see. Okay, then, right after he forced Jeff Teague into a brick at the rim, then Jeremy owned Jeff Teague on a crossover move. Just crushed him. I think it was going left to right. Crossover, again, is just crossover where you cross from one side of your body. So if you're dribbling in your right hand, you end up dribbling in your left hand, and the ball goes across your body. And he basically, so he did a crossover move real quick, dusted Jeff Teague, and then was fouled either by Teague or the big man. So what I loved about it was, again, he was being aggressive. Jeff, you're going to go at me. I'm going to go at you. Oh, I just punked you out on a crossover move. And the crowd's going, oh, that's right. That's what he needs to do. That's what he needs to do. And he did it. So again, this is why Kobe said this about third quarter. Yeah, he answered the bell. Atlanta and Jeff Teague came out to attack him, and Jeremy beat them. Beat him good. And made them look silly. So you want to make me look silly? I'm going to make you look silly. I love it. That was fantastic. And then he got 2 free throws, made one, missed the other. And the announcer, Bill McDonald, said it was the first double-double of the season for Laker, meaning double digits in like points, rebounds, and assists. At this point, Jeremy had 15 points, 10 assists. First double-double of the season for Laker, except for Jordan Hill, who I guess has a couple of them. So that was a great play. Then he had blown assist number 6 of the game. He passed to Jordan Hill, who missed a jumper. He came out of the game with the score 86-81 Lakers for Ronnie Price with 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the third quarter. Then I also made a note, Kobe is letting others control the offense, finally, because, the Hawks were double-teaming Kobe. They were making other people beat them, and they beat them. So it's Kobe played the right way tonight, mostly, and that was good. It was great to see. Okay, Jeremy began the fourth quarter on the bench. I then put a note, I made a note, and this did not apply to this part of the game. This was earlier in the game. Jeremy was drifting a little bit on his help defense. And what I mean by that is he's getting too far away from his man. The reason why he does this is he is a good help defender. Many NBA defenses, the principle is what's known as packing the paint, meaning you want to collapse. You want your guys to be very close to the paint so that guys can't drive against it. This is why spacing is so important, because most defenses want that to make it hard to drive against it. But as a perimeter defender, you can't go towards the paint so much that your man is open. So if your man gets the ball out on the three-point line, if you're in close, you must be able to get back out to your man. And there are times when Jeremy drifts in too far and he cannot get back out. So he's got to be careful of that. Again, I'm paying attention to this because I'm focused on Jeremy, but guys do this. This happens all the time. It happens to Kobe every single game. So keep working on that. Keep working on that. Okay. Jeremy came into the game in the fourth quarter with 6:08 left, and the score was 97-92. So this was kind of crunch time. Soon he had blown assist number 7 for Jordan Hill, who missed a running shot. Then Jeremy missed, I believe, a three-pointer. I did not see it because my feed cut out for a second when that happened. Then Yeah, he fouled Jeff Teague, who got free throws. Okay. Then I put Kobe's playing point guard, so it's more like Kobe was bringing the ball up, which is fine. Whatever. Kobe wants to control the ball at the end. It's okay if as long as things work. It was fine. It worked out well. So then I put Jeff Teague trying to attack Jeremy again. Jeremy forced a travel. Jeff Teague went into the post trying to post Jeremy up, and he messed up, and Jeremy forced him to travel, which was great. Then I put Jeremy nearly forces turnover on Jeff Teague drive and kick. So Jeff Teague drove to the basket, and he was scared to shoot because he was thinking Jeremy might block his shot. He passed the ball out, and it almost turned it over. So I said, that doesn't show up in the stats. Oh, Jeremy's defense, the guy drove right by him. Yeah, and then the guy was afraid to shoot because he didn't want to get his shot blocked. So remember that. That happens a lot with him. Excuse me. Then I put aggressive. Jeremy standing up to punk out ISO attempts by Jeff Teague. That's right. Jeff Teague in Atlanta was in that stupid mode of let's go at Jeremy every single time, just like Isaiah Thomas when Jeremy was in Houston and James Anderson and everybody else. We're all going to attack Jeremy. He's the weak link, and Mikhail's not going to help him. Well, they were trying to do it here, and Jeremy fought it off. So as I said, he stood up tonight. Don't take this nonsense from these guys that you're better than. Oh, Jeff Teague's a good player. He's very good. Stand up to it. And Jeremy stood up to it tonight, and he did great. Okay. Then blown assist number 8 of the game. This was the second play where the player wasn't ready for Jeremy's pass. He basically gave the ball to Carlos Boozer right like 2 feet from the rim, but Carlos didn't expect the pass. And so he missed the layup just like Ed Davis missed it in the third quarter. Like I said, Jeremy's a wizard with the ball and passing. And as these guys get more used to that, then they'll convert these plays. They just got to get used to how good of a passer Jeremy is. And that takes some time to adjust to. Then Jeremy forced a Jeff Teague miss at the rim, so he was just all over him, all over. Okay. Then we had this play that was the clear path foul. This was a tough play for Jeremy. There was a jump ball called, and it was Jordan Hill against, I can't remember who it was. Jordan Hill won the tap. He tapped the ball the way he wanted to, but the tap went over Jeremy's head, and Kyle Korver grabbed it. It was a weird play. And then Jeremy fouled Kyle Korver, and it was called a clear path foul. What that means is that the player that is fouled had a clear path to the basket. What that means is nobody's in their way. And so if you foul a person in that situation, they get 2 shots and the ball. So it was a fluke play. And to be honest with you, Jeremy should have jumped for the ball. But it wasn't his fault completely. Kyle Korver got loose. I don't think that was his fault at all, actually. It was just a weird play that unfortunately Jeremy and the Lakers were in bad position with. And so if Jeremy had that play to do over again, he would have jumped up to try to hit the ball. But he didn't know Kyle Korver was behind him. Fortunately, Korver hit the free throws, but then Atlanta got the ball and then they missed. And so at that point, it was 105-102 for the Lakers. And I think, Atlanta missed a three-pointer. And if they would have hit it, then it would have been 105-105. And then if Atlanta would have gone on to win the game, it would have been, oh, no, Jeremy Lin's play. And if Atlanta had won the game, it would have been in Houston. Then the headlines would have been, Jeremy Lin blows the season for the Rockets. And Clutch would have made a thing it would have made a video upload of how this was the key play in the game, and everything went downhill from the Rockets from there. And so that's how it would have been framed in Houston. Fortunately, we're not in Houston. And it didn't work out like that. So then Kobe hit a and one shot, and then there was a ridiculous, just silly call. Jeremy had inside position on Jeff Teague. Atlanta shot the ball, and the ball came off the rim. What happens is there's a foul that's called over the back. What this means is if a man has inside position on you, they are between you and the basket, and they are facing the basket, and they're positioned for a rebound. You cannot jump over their back to get the ball. And so on this play, and as well as I could see it, Jeff Teague jumped over Jeremy Lin's back to grab the ball, which he did grab. And they called a foul, and instead of calling over the back on Jeff Teague, they called a foul on Jeremy, which you could see Jeremy's like, what are you talking about? That was, I mean, what they called, basically what they must have ruled was that Jeremy backed up into Jeff Teague, like shoved him, which, look, that can happen. It didn't look like it happened on that play. You could see Jeremy's like, what in the world is going on here? So that was really, really strange. Jeff Teague got 2 free throws. He made them both. That cut the lead to 108-104. That was the 5th personal foul on Jeremy. And then soon after that, Byron Scott made a defense for offense switch. And we saw this in Houston, which is, okay, we're going to take Jeremy out of the game to put in a better defender, supposedly. And then when we go on offense, we will put Jeremy back in. So Ronnie Price and Wesley Johnson came in for Carlos Boozer and for Jeremy. And this was like 43 seconds left in the game. It worked out okay, and then Jeremy came back into the game with 15 seconds left. Lakers were only up 2 at that point. The reason why they put Jeremy back in was because he's a really good free throw shooter. So they knew Atlanta was going to foul him, so they wanted Jeremy to maybe be able to shoot free throws. And then so that didn't happen. The Lakers hit 1 free throw out of 2, so they were up 112-109. They took Jeremy back out for Wesley Johnson, and that was basically that. Went into the last part of the game. I have no problem with the substitutions. Look, we've seen this before. Of course, we saw it most famously in the Portland playoff series last year. They took Jeremy out for the final play of the game, and that's when Damian Lillard hit the three-pointer over Chandler Parsons. So we've seen that strategy fail before. I really don't have a problem with it here because the Lakers were playing from a lead. What Byron Scott was trying to do was he was trying to run out the clock. And what he's thinking is, look, we don't need to score. All we need to do is stop them from scoring. If we stop them from scoring, we win. So, yeah, I mean, you could say, well, it's kind of a diss on Jeremy. Well, I mean, it's a diss on Carlos Boozer, who played great in this game. So I don't care. It was the Lakers were playing from a lead. They ended up winning, and I'm fine with it. I really am. This is nothing. This happens all the time. It's not just Jeremy. Again, it happened to Carlos Boozer, and they won. So, no problem. Sure, Jeremy'd love to be on the court, and again, he can always look back at the Damian Lillard made three-pointer and chuckle about him as a defensive replacement, but they won. I understand what Byron was thinking. That's it. So what? Who cares? Jeremy played great, and the Lakers won, so I really don't have a problem with it at all. That is it. It was a great game. And like I said, in making the video here, I learned more based upon the Kobe praising Jeremy for the third quarter. Everything worked tonight. Everything that needed to happen in this game from a team perspective and from an individual perspective happened. This video's right now, I'm looking at it's an hour and 45 minutes, and there's probably like 20 people listening to the whole thing, but this was an amazing game. This is the best, under the circumstances, is the best game Jeremy's played as a Laker. This is the best game of the year. And this is a game that's going to give the team and Jeremy confidence. And it's going to give the team confidence in Jeremy. I'm glad Kobe praised him for the third quarter because he should have. He came through. And now they've got a concrete example of what it looks like when things succeed. Jeremy, this is how we want you to play. Kobe can go to Jeremy and say, yeah, that's how you do it. That's what I want. And Jeremy can go and look at that film and say, yeah, I can do that. So the next time there's a Golden State Warriors dip, remember that. You don't have to look back at Linsanity. You can look back right there. Excellent, excellent. And the Lakers certainly needed the win. So great stuff all the way around. About 13 hours from now, right now it's 8 a.m. here on the East Coast, we're going to go right into the Houston game. And, man, that'd be incredibly sweet if we could win that game. But this was a terrific victory. Love how Jeremy played. I love that he stayed aggressive, he stayed strong, and he did exactly what he needed to do. He fought off Jeff Teague and this isolate Jeremy stuff. Great, great, great. Okay. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. We encourage you to come and join the Conservative in the Media Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter. You'll find information for that in the video description below the video player. Excuse me. You'll also find information about video highlights about this game. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative Media. Strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Just, this couldn't be any better. As happy as I was watching, I'm even happier now just thinking about it. So this is great, and hopefully the team can carry this momentum over into Houston tonight and get a surprise win. I don't know what the betting line is on the game, but I'm sure Houston's favored probably by double digits. But so what? Atlanta was favored by 9.5 points, and the Lakers won there. So big step up tonight for Jeremy. Big jump up in the learning curve. I love it. Let's carry it right into Houston. Beat the Rockets, beat the Rockets, beat the Rockets. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Get ready for the game tonight. Showdown with Jeremy's old team, the Houston Rockets.